Hey! Anita Sarkeesian posted up a video. I completely forgot that she was even making stuff again. Guess it kind of works that way when you unsubscribe from someone. But apparently she has. So I guess we'll watch and see what this completely unbiased person has to say. So the title of the video is called All the Slender Ladies, Body Diversity in Video Games. I can't imagine what she could possibly be pissed off about when it comes to this kind of a topic. But let's see what she's got. Okay, before we go any further, can I just make it a point that while I've looked further in and she's made other videos, but can I note the hilarity that she has made a Season 2? Because by using the word Season 2, you have to assume that you actually finished something, which you didn't. But whatever, give you the free pass, let's actually see what you gotta say.
At their annual BlizzCon event in 2014, the wildly successful game studio Blizzard Entertainment showed off a new game they had in the works called Overwatch.
Oh boy, I already see where this is going.
And from that first reveal it was clear, the appeal of Overwatch resided in its cast of characters, a diverse assortment of heroes each with unique traits and abilities. The roster revealed at BlizzCon included men and women, sentient robots, and super intelligent gorillas. However, for all the apparent variety and diversity in the heroes Blizzard showed off at the game's debut, there wasn't much diversity to be seen in the body types represented by the female heroes. The male characters introduced that day included the towering knight Reinhardt, the sturdy engineer Torbjorn, the agile archer Hanzo, and the hulking simian scientist Winston, among others. The 5 female characters introduced consisted of the slender adventurer Tracer, the slender healer Mercy, the slender support character Symmetra, the slender sniper Widowmaker, and the slender but well-armored security chief Farah.
Zarya? Mei? Ana? I mean, are we going to only use the specific ones for our narrative that fit? Because those 3 don't exactly fall into that category, at least in the sense of Mei has some weight to her, Zarya is muscular as fuck, and Ana has some age to her, so she's not like the 20-year-old, slender beauty. So, are we forgetting something here?
Overwatch was hardly alone in having all of its female characters share a similar physique. In Ultra Street Fighter IV, characters such as Dalsum, Hakan, E. Honda, Rufus, and Vega represent a significant range of male body types. Looking at the roster of female characters, however, while some may be a bit taller than others or have slightly larger thighs, not one of them represents a notable departure from the slender body type that has been established as the standard of conventional female attractiveness.
Okay, but why specifically are you bringing up these girls? Because, I mean, they're not exactly the norm for what you go for. They're not the sex object. They're not the damsel in distress. They're not all these other things that you love to bring up, Anita. These girls kick all kinds of ass. Like, they can beat any guy on the roster. They don't need a man in their lives. They are solo entities. And again, like, they're not the normal for girls in terms of their looks, Like, they all have a lot of muscle to them, whereas the slender girl that I understand you're going for is meant to be, like, just the pretty girl with big tits, whereas these girls also have a lot of muscle to them, and most of these model girls that you're going for, they don't fall into that category. So it's kind of weird that you're bringing up that specific example.
Similarly, when we look at the champions on offer in the hugely popular MOBA League of Legends, we see the designers employing a wonderful range of body shapes and proportions across dozens of male characters. From the classic muscular warrior physique of Taric, to the hefty beer belly of Gragas, to the cartoonishly disproportionate body of Dr. Mundo. There isn't any one male body type that is presented as the standard default male body type, and the value of these characters is definitely not connected to their sexual desirability. But when we look at the female heroes, there's nothing approaching the diversity we see on the male side of the roster. There are a few noteworthy variations from the standard. Illaoi is somewhat more muscular than many of the female characters. Jinx has smaller breasts, and there's the cute gnome-like Tristana. But the overwhelming majority of female characters make it clear that a slender figure with prominent breasts is viewed as the standard for female character design.
I love how you're specifically making this article about how there's literally only one body type, and then you proceed to make examples saying that, oh, this is a thing, but clearly it's not the majority.
Likewise, in Dota 2, male heroes can be handsome or comical, outlandish or grotesque, while female heroes are mostly relegated to being standard humanoid characters with conventionally attractive facial features. Where are all the female rock creatures, skeletal priests, and whatever this thing is?
I mean, there's a pretty good reason right there. Look at the face that you made and the reaction that you gave for that final character that you just pointed out. This isn't true for all women, but let's be honest. Women tend to be very judgmental on the looks of other women. So let's say, for example, that half of the League of Legends female characters are exactly what you're talking about. Mystical creatures, morbidly obese, ugly characters. There would be a fair case that the mystical creatures you would be accepting about, especially if they were like, very Disney-esque. But I imagine for any of the ugly characters, it would not fall into that category because, like I said, women tend to be a little more judgmental on looks than men are. So, by that logic, what are the chances of a really grotesque, just a morbidly obese, ugly female character being plopped in a game? You would probably get upset about it because you'd be like, this is so disgusting and not representing of what we are as women. We are beautiful, we are strong, and instead we plop in this ridiculously obese, ugly woman that is probably just, this hulking, waddling mess of flesh. And I mean, I could be wrong. Some of you could actually think that that's a great thing, but I'm willing to bet that that's not what the reaction would be for something like that.
This isn't just an issue in fighting games, MOBAs, and other titles that give players a range of characters to choose from. Female characters across the board are often limited to that same specific body type.
I should kill you.
Doing all right there?
Stay away from her!
Sure you want to let him go?
You are... Listen.
And this guy wants me to trust him.
It's as if male characters are free to embody whatever physique best communicates their personality or abilities, but when it comes to the designs of female characters, that kind of imagination and creativity often doesn't seem to exist. Rather than seeing such an exciting range of female characters, we mostly get the same body type over and over again, one designed to be sexually appealing to the presumed straight male player.
I can't help myself, because every time that you say it's designed for the straight male player, you always seem to forget a specific thing. Feminists do this all the time. They seem to forget that there is, I don't know, this other fight that we also have in the world right now, the LGBT community, where there's a chance that there may be gay or bisexual women that are also interested in this kind of content. Now, pushing that aside, let's talk about the whole specific imagery for women being one kind of similar model, whereas with guys, it's a whole variety. I can give you a pretty clear idea of why that is. Men don't care about looks as much as women. Isn't it perfectly obvious? I mean, how many magazines are out there where women are being constantly told, this is how you should look, this is how you should dress, this is how you should eat, this is how you should sleep, this is how you should exercise. Whereas how many guy magazines are, look at this awesome thing, look at this cool thing, look at this other thing. They don't give a shit about how we look, about how we dress, about all this other stuff. You wonder why we don't have a specific model type for characters when we honestly don't really have a specific model of the human body in terms of a male gender that we actually decided that that's the correct one. Whereas in turn, women kind of have a set description of what, the right woman should look like.
This reliance on the same body type for so many female characters isn't just boring, it's harmful. It links our value as human beings within the culture to our desirability to men, and it reinforces our culturally influenced ideas about who gets to be considered desirable and who doesn't.
That's not a culturally specific thing. That is a individual basis. Every single person has a different taste of what they're into. I'm into this overly sexualized slender girl that you are against. But there are other guys out there, there are other girls out there that are into, again, there are girls that are into women. Some are into fatter girls, some are into black girls, some are into Asian girls, some are into really muscular girls. It's different for everyone. It's not a culturally specific thing. It's just that the majority of people tend to be into slender girls because that's healthy. That's a healthy girl. Let's not kid ourselves and to say that a 350-pound woman, that's not healthy.
The problem is exacerbated by the fact that when we do see representations of women with different body types, they're often presented as a joke, as in Fat Princess. Or they're pathologized and presented as a twisted transgression of the established feminine ideal, as in the case of the evil lesbian psychopath Joe Slade in Dead Rising.
Let's see just how shameless you are, you dirty little skank! Say hello to my little friend!
That's a point that I'd half agree with you on, but at the same time, you're also not noting the fact that we make fun of different male models constantly. We make fun of fat guys. We make fun of stupid guys, especially stupid. We seem to have this penchant for loving to go after the really uneducated when it comes to video game characters, how we always make jokes about how stupid they are. So again, thanks for not bringing up any other case except the specific one that suits your narrative.
When the majority of women who populate these game worlds are designed from the same narrow template, the problem isn't just what we're seeing in games, it's what we're not seeing. The fact that fat women and women with different body shapes aren't featured in these worlds reinforces the false notion that these women are less valuable and less worthy of recognition than those women whose bodies come closer to matching the cultural beauty standard.
No, that's actually because no one ever brings up characters like these, because Ellie in Borderlands, Kreia in Star Wars The Old Republic, there are characters out there that fit these specific body types that you're looking for. The problem is no one ever talks about them, and that includes female gamers, so that's partially your own fault.
These limitations on creativity when it comes to female characters don't stop with body type. We also don't see the same range of ages commonly represented as we do with male characters. It's not unheard of to see male soldiers, fighters, and heroes who appear to be in their 40s, 50s, and even older.
You're right.
Playable female characters, on the other hand, are almost always young, and it's for the same reason that so many of them have the same body type. They're intended to be sexually appealing to straight male players.
There we go with the straight male player again.
The result is that we have plenty of representations of male characters who communicate that men can continue to be active, vital, and powerful over the course of their lives. Meanwhile, the absence of older playable female characters wrongly suggests that women's value is tied directly to their beauty and youth, and that when they're older, that value is all used up. There aren't many good examples of prominent positive representations of women with different body types in major contemporary games. In Life is Strange, there's the minor character Alyssa, a classmate of Max, the protagonist.
I didn't know you were a sci-fi geek like us. What's your favorite?
In Assassin's Creed Syndicate, there's Agnes McBean, owner of the train which becomes the hero's base of operations.
Then may I present to you Agnes and Bertha, lady and locomotive.
And in Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2, Kreia is a great example of a capable, powerful, older female character.
I am Kreia, and I am your rescuer, as you are mine.
So yeah, there's Kreia. I mean, there's a great example, but again, like, how many of these characters do you women, especially feminists, ever talk about? How often do you ever talk about these characters? Instead, you go after the Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball girls. You go after all the sexually objectified ones. Maybe instead of bitching about every single negative character that you see, maybe actually talk about the positive ones, because maybe if you talk about that more will get made. But what do I know? I'm somebody with a different opinion, right?
Let's go back to Overwatch for a moment. Since that initial reveal, a few female heroes have been added to the roster. There's Mei and Zarya, both of whom have body types that are notably different from those of the originally announced female characters.
Anna, reporting for duty.
And more recently, Blizzard announced the game's next hero, Anna, who's both an older woman and a woman of color.
Huh. I'm getting the weird feeling that maybe this was edited in after the original video was finished.
These characters are welcome and encouraging additions, but really they're just a start.
Therein lies the problem. Again, you pass off the positives as nothing, but you always accentuate the negatives. Again, if you want things to change in your favor, keep highlighting the positives. Don't just pass off every single positive thing that happens as it's a thing, it's okay, I guess that's fine. No, endlessly talk about it. If you want to bring up these 3 Overwatch girls, don't stop talking about them. Keep saying, these are the kind of characters that we would like. These are the kinds of characters that we want to see in all future games. Because again, if you keep talking about them, they'll actually keep getting made. Because the second you stop talking about them, why would anyone ever make them again? Because clearly they don't have any staying power if no one wants to say anything about them.
Game developers need to continue actively working towards creating the same range and diversity of female body representations that we see among male characters. When female characters' bodies are liberated from the need to uphold narrow, limiting cultural beauty standards, the resulting range of representations can not only make games themselves more interesting, it can encourage us to see all women as the desirable, valuable, autonomous, fully human individuals that we are.
Alright, so that's over. I'm surprised I went through that whole video without ever pulling up the whole, A lot of male characters are young. A lot of male characters are muscular. A lot of characters are tough. A lot of characters are smart. A lot of characters are strong. A lot of characters are brave. There's a lot of things in that list that I'm not. I mean, look at me. I'm a skinny guy. I've never gotten to a fight in the course of my life. I can't consider myself brave. I'm definitely not strong. There are a lot of things about me that don't fit in the average male video game character either, and yet I don't sit here and bitch about it every time that that happens. I don't play a game like Mortal Kombat and look at Johnny Cage and say, oh, that's offensive to me because he's a strong guy, he's a big jacked up dude, and I'm not that. At the end of the day, it's just, again, another case of you getting a little too bitchy and a little too offended over something that honestly is fictional. And realistically, you should be more than well aware to identify the fact that most of these girls that you're getting mad about are not real in the sense of they are not a normal woman in the real world. The majority of these women in these games do not exist in real life, or at the very least if they do, they're a dime a dozen. It always stems back to the fact that feminists will just constantly bring up these specific cases because it suits their narrative, because the second that they go around and talk about any other character that doesn't fit that, it doesn't work. But at the same time, this doesn't work either because, again, the same thing goes on with men, but we just don't give a shit about it. So that was 7 minutes I'm never going to get back. And it sucks because for a while I actually agreed with what Anita was saying in the original videos that she started making for the Tropes and Video Game series. Because I do believe that women are underutilized in video games. There definitely need to be a lot more games out there with female main characters. At the same time, though, I'm not going to complain if the majority of these female characters happen to be these slender girls that Anita is complaining about, because at the same time, the majority of male main characters are also big, burly, muscular guys that I'm certainly not. So that's my thoughts on the video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Like or dislike the video, whichever you feel like doing. I'm more than welcome to either side because, again, open mind here. Make sure you share the video with all your friends. I mean, this is a new kind of video for me. I don't usually do things like this, but I'm trying out something new, seeing how this works. It might not work. It might work really well. At the same time, God only knows. I mean, Anita is part of the censorship police there on Twitter, so God only knows what can happen because of me making a video like this, especially with the new YouTube guidelines, so God only knows where that's going to go. But again, guys, thank you very much for watching the video, and I will see you next time whenever I decide to make a video, I guess. Later.